It is time to criminalise coercive control. State Member Update by Nicole Werner MP. For too long, Victoria has failed to properly recognise coercive control for what it is, a pattern of sustained, manipulative and abusive behaviours that trap victims in fear long before physical violence occurs. I've been campaigning for reform since 2024, when I stood in Parliament and said there is nothing more important than protecting women from domestic violence. At the time, I reminded the Parliament that 1 in 3 women have experienced physical or sexual violence from the age of 15. I said openly that we either are someone or know someone who has been a victim of gender-based violence, and that it is our responsibility to act. In that same speech, I said these numbers represent real women and real moments of terror, fear and despair. I also made clear that the system is failing. Despite government claims of implementing every recommendation of the Royal Commission into Family Violence, the rates of violence were sadly increasing. I said then that resources were not enough, that women were being let down, and that Victoria needed the full spectrum of responses, from prevention and early intervention to recovery and healing. That is why I have championed both the criminalisation of coercive control and the right to ask, right to know disclosure scheme, otherwise known as Clare's Law. This scheme, which allows a person to find out whether their partner has a history of violence, is a simple preventative tool that saves lives. Yet Labor voted it down. They said it was not necessary, only to find themselves now scrambling to align with the very measures they once rejected. Clare's Law empowers at-risk Victorians to make informed and safer choices by allowing individuals to request information from police about a partner's history of violence, and by enabling police to proactively disclose information when they identify a serious risk. Similar schemes already operate successfully in South Australia and the United Kingdom, demonstrating that early disclosure can prevent harm before violence escalates. Recently, the Liberals and Nationals introduced a private member's bill to make coercive control a standalone criminal offence in Victoria. Labor opposed it in the lower house and voted against it. Yet within days, they announced they would introduce the same reform next year. We are proud to have advocated for this issue in a meaningful way that has forced the government to act and commit to this reform. While it is deeply disappointing that the government chose to play politics and vote against our bill simply because it was not theirs, I am glad this advocacy has brought the issue to the fore and ensured it will now be legislated. Criminalising coercive control should never have been a political issue. Women deserve better than delay and denial. They deserve recognition of their lived experience. Coercive control is not about a single incident. It is a pattern that includes threats, intimidation, economic control, surveillance, humiliation, and isolation. Victims are often unaware they are being controlled until the pattern becomes suffocating and dangerous. Research shows coercive control is present in and a precursor to almost all of intimate partner homicides. When I named the women who lost their lives to violence in 2024, I said it was our responsibility to remember them and to act on their behalf. I stand by that today. Criminalising coercive control alongside a disclosure scheme that empowers people to protect themselves is not about politics. It is about saving lives. Victoria must not be the last state to act. The Liberals and Nationals will continue to lead the way, and I will continue to fight until these important reforms become law. About Nicole. Nicole Werner MP is the member for Warrandyte in the Victorian Legislative Assembly. This story was read by Rebecca Rose.